Yes, I really beat Five Nights at Freddy's nights 1 through 6 and 420 mode, but each night took exactly 6 hours to complete. This was undoubtedly the stupidest idea I've ever had for a video, which equally makes it one of the greatest. And this whole thing started a couple of months ago, so let me provide some context. Okay, so this is Real-Time FNAF, a mod created with the whole idea being what if the characters actually moved in real time. All things considered, it seemed pretty cool. I mean, actually seeing the animatronics move would be scary enough, but it was the name that I was really interested in. Real time. I, and probably some others out there, believed that this name would be true to its gameplay, where each night would be in real time, being 5 6-hour nights. And while that never was the plan, a 6-hour mode was confirmed to be an extra challenge mode. When this was announced, I subconsciously told myself that I would stop at nothing to be the very first person to complete the 6-hour mode. However, there was a small issue. On March 1st, an official trailer for the game dropped. It was officially confirmed that the game would be released on April 27th. This would normally be fine, because remember, this was back in March. I had plenty of time to plan and potentially practice. The issue was that the week following April 27th was my finals week. On top of that, the weeks following, I would be getting ready to graduate high school, so my time throughout the month of May was already pretty limited. Even if the game was to be released on that Saturday, there was no way in hell that I would be devoting 6 hours of my weekend, where I should be studying, to this stupid challenge. While the game didn't release then and instead got pushed back indefinitely, that date was firm in my head as final. Then I had an idea. My spring break was coming up in a week and I had nothing big planned. So I did the only thing a logical human being would do, and I set out to recreate the 6-hour mode myself using the original FNAF. Then I would play and beat the entire game over my spring break so I wouldn't feel like I was missing out while finishing school. Now with the proper time and motivation, I obtained a FNAF 1 MFA and fired up ClickTeam. There was only one problem. I don't know how to use ClickTeam. It doesn't help that there is literally zero useful documentation on how it works anywhere, or at least the places I looked. Most videos on YouTube aren't helpful in the slightest, and ChatGPT couldn't even tell me what ClickTeam was. Better yet, FNAF 1's code is primarily held together using duct tape and band-aids. So left with zero alternative options, I asked my friend Fazzy if he would be willing to lend me some of his time to make this stupid idea a reality. He was the best option I had, since he has more than enough experience with the engine, since he's also made a couple of games using ClickTeam that you may or may not have heard of. They're a little underground. We hopped into VC, and a little under an hour later, we had the first rendition of our 6-hour hellscape, comically dubbed FNAF in Real Time. It was already getting pretty late, which gave me the idea to start each night at midnight, kinda like I was an actual night guard. So what you're about to see is my very naive first impression of the challenge. Okay, so it is 11:57, March 9th. We're gonna do the 6-hour shift. Approximately 15 seconds until hell, so it's officially midnight. Let's get this started. As you can see, there's a timer in the top left. I ran this through yesterday, and it will loop through 6 hours when the night ends. Okay, so a couple other things you might notice, like right away, is the power. Fazzy decided to add a 9999 power, which I think should be more than enough to last me the full 6 hours. The reason the power is this way is because we couldn't, at least at first, figure out how to make the power go down slower, so our solution was just to give more power that drains at the normal rate. I'm aware that 10,000% power is a lot, but you're gonna have to trust me on this, it works out well. You would really only need about 4,000%, but we were still unsure if that was even possible. Also, one thing to note is I initially wanted the AI to be slowed down to match like the time. So like, you know, typical FNAF 1 night 1, Bonnie will come to your office like once at maybe 4 AM or so. I kind of wanted to emulate that, just if the game was just slowed down 40 times, but we couldn't really accomplish that. So they move at their normal speeds. So it's going to be a pretty active night 1, I reckon. This was also our reasoning for so much power, especially on night 1, where they could more frequently show up and just sit at the door forever because of their low AI. The power would be tweaked quite a bit throughout, but it was for sure the most it ever was in this night, so don't worry about it too much.
Oh, okay, we just broke the game. What did we do? Dude, the lights don't even work. Okay, we're not that far in. We might as well just redo this.
I couldn't actually tell you what happened here, since this bug can't really be diagnosed that easily. My best guess is that when Fazzy tried to compile the game into an EXE, since he didn't have the same assets that Scott did back in 2014, there were some errors with what events could fire. Specifically with the West Hall corner. Whenever looking in that camera, nothing would show up, and flipping the camera down would just cause the office to unload, besides the fan animation, which is just slapped on top of the office image. It's not super important, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Alright, good night.
Dude, who knew phone got yapped for 3 minutes? Normally by now it'd be like 1, 2 a.m., but no, we're still at 12 a.m. for another 56.5 minutes. Also, I love how the fan just stops the second you pull up the camera. I don't know if that's in the actual game, but it's funny to me. I don't know why. Oh, you just have the ability to freeze time.
It was by this point, only 4 minutes in, that I was incredibly bored. I was looking for anything in the office to entertain me.
Dude, I am not trusting that it's been 9 minutes right now. Like, a normal FNAF night would have ended by now, and neither Bonnie or Foxy have moved. Oh, yeah, okay, that's why. Okay, that makes sense now. If you know, on night 1, at 12 a.m. to 12 and 1 a.m., all animatronics are at 0 AI. None of them become even remotely active until 2 a.m. And I think Bonnie goes up to 1 or 2, and Chica has a chance of activating, I think, like 4 a.m. And then Foxy as well. I'm not too sure how that works, but I know that makes a lot more sense now because it's, you know, not 1 a.m. I thought it was a time-based thing. Oh my god. Oh, the file size this is gonna make.
I was right to fear, because when this is all said and done, I had nearly 1.5 terabytes of footage. Why so much? Well, I forgot to turn down my bitrate for the entire challenge. I know, this is an actual rookie mistake, and I now have to sit and wait for it all to import into Premiere, which is just notorious for not liking that. Good job, past me.
Alright, and we have officially crossed the 1 hour mark. It is 1 a.m. Thank God. Okay, I don't know if they're gonna start moving now or if it's at 2 a.m. But we know it works. I was really hoping the game just wouldn't crash.
Spoiler, the animatronics didn't move and I went back to work for the rest of the second hour.
Okay, we are almost at 2 a.m. I'm gonna be so for real right now. I'm getting pretty sick of this. Oh, fuck, I just remembered. Dude, I just see the time on my laptop just switched to 3 a.m. I'm not gonna be done till 7.
In a surprising twist of events, the one day I decided to start this challenge was the start of daylight savings time. This meant even when I started the challenge at 12 a.m., I wouldn't be finishing up and going to bed until 7 a.m. This doesn't affect the challenge in any way, but did affect my motivation a little bit going forward. Also, Bonnie didn't start moving at 2 a.m. like I thought he would, so it was another hour of work while I listened to the office ambience slowly consume my soul.
And folks, it is 3 a.m. Well, now 4 a.m. for me. God, I'm still incredibly tired. We were powering through. I'm actually getting a lot of work done, surprisingly. And even more surprisingly, no one has moved. So either we are getting extremely lucky or the game's bugged. Either way, we're halfway done with the night. I'm so ready for this to be over.
And just like the previous 3 hours, not much happened here either.
I didn't even notice because I was working, but we just passed 4 a.m. It's now 5:03 a.m. for me. We are 2/3 done. I'm still very tired.
It wasn't until 4 hours and 45 minutes in where something happened. I went to bed. I guess I was just too tired and decided I had more than enough power to shut the doors and go to sleep. This was the only time in the challenge that I can recall where I got up after I started a night for an extended period of time. All things considered, I did pretty good, and I even finished the night. Also of note, I died to Foxy a couple minutes into night 2 while I was still asleep. So the AI definitely works. Also, my alarm clock went off about an hour later, and I woke back up to finish the recording.
Alright. We survived night 1. I just woke back up.
Even if night 1 didn't go entirely how I'd expected it to, I still came back later that day for night 2.
Okay, it's the next night. It is March 10th at 11:59, so we're doing this the morning of March 11th. I'm significantly less tired today because I actually took a nap in the evening, so I hopefully won't get tired at 5 a.m. Okay, so he's in there. Again, the fucking West Hall corner is still down. We haven't fixed that yet. Obviously, you can tell the power is still busted as hell. So I might get to a point tonight where I just leave the door down after like 3 a.m. or so. But I want to actually try and like, play the game as it's intended and not try to like, break everything. Because that would be kind of lame. Holy shit, it's him for the first time.
About 20 minutes into night 2, and my strategy had changed a little bit. I would play in 20-minute shifts, where I would play for 20 minutes and then work for 20 minutes. This was to help keep me as fresh as possible for later in the night. I also weirdly came up with a strategy that just involved keeping the left door down the entire night and not flipping the monitor at all. This was very different from the strategy I ended up using, but it's interesting to see how bad of a strategist I was at first. Strategist? I don't know. Night 2 in general was pretty smooth sailing, as not a lot of interesting things happened. After about 4 a.m, I decided that I was done playing for the night and kept both doors down while I stayed up to get some work done. I guess I was really trying to finish my Project Readjusted video while on spring break, as well as make this video. Neither of those ended up happening, by the way. Anyway, this was the last real night that I was actively trying to do something else while playing. I also ended up changing my strategy significantly from AFKing in the office to AFKing in the cameras. Probably because I had let Foxy run so many times that he was taking upwards of 150% each time he ran, which was a lot. Not much happened during the second night. That was until I got into 6 a.m.
There we go. That wasn't so bad. Oh, okay.
As it turns out, the version Fazzy had sent over was coded so it would be recognized as the demo. CD2 didn't work, and neither did altering the save file, since I really couldn't make any progress if I can't even access the next night. Fazzy said he would see what he could do about fixing it, and that's really where the story ends for a bit. This wasn't his fault at all, far from it. We both had things that we'd rather be working on, and I poured my focus into the Project Readjusted video instead. A couple of months later, and I had already forgotten about this video. It was pretty much scrapped. That wasn't anything I'm unfamiliar with, as about 70% of videos I work on end up getting scrapped somewhere down the line. But this one felt like a loss, since I already poured 12 hours of my time into it. So I took to Twitter, which you should go follow me on, subtle plug. I figured it might be interesting to see what other people would think about the idea. I figured it would reach about 500, 1,000, 1.1 million people. The tweet blew up, garnering over 26,000 likes, which I think my most popular tweet before that was only about 500. So this is a lot more exposure than I ever could have imagined for an idea as stupid as this one. So great, people actually want to see this video finished. That's fantastic. Fazzy even offered to polish the game up since we both had time, so with everything going to plan, I set a date for June 1st to stream the third night.
Alright, any final words before I'm stuck here for the next 6 hours?
We'll make the most of your first few hours.
I was joined by some friends on stream for the first little bit to make this challenge more bearable. I also spent the first hour explaining to the stream what the challenge was.
What compelled me to do this?
Yeah, 1 a.m.
Woo! Alright.
1 a.m.
Even Chica's here to celebrate.
Let's fucking, yeah, Cheek is like, good job, buddy. Made it 1 a.m.
Not much happened until about an hour and 20 minutes in, when someone in chat suggested doing something else and taking a quick break. We eventually decided on Peggle, which kicked off the very first government-sanctioned Peggle break, where I am contractually obligated by the US government to take a few minutes and play Peggle. The whole stream went like this, where after every hour, I would take 10 to 15 minutes to play a couple rounds of Peggle. It was definitely very fun and helped break up the longer droughts with nothing happening. The stream was actually super interesting, and it was by far the most amount of fun I had during this challenge, as with having a chat, there was always something new to talk about. We somehow got on the topic of Doom while on a Peggle break, where I was eventually convinced to take a small Doom break. So now introducing the government-sanctioned Doom break. I know it seems like all I'm doing so far is goofing off, and well, yeah, that's true. It was super nice to have a more laid-back night where I could do really whatever. I did switch back and forth quite a bit between Peggle and FNAF for the rest of the night, but after it was all said and done, I finished night 3 and a pretty successful stream.
There's no way Fanta was made by Hitler so it could replicate code. There's zero chance. That right there is bait. Okay, there we go.
In between nights 3 and 4, a lot of time had passed, and a couple of alterations to the game were made. First and foremost, I finally learned how to use Click Team, or at least how to navigate the treacherous FNAF 1 code. I was doing this to fix a couple of issues I had with the previous build, mainly reverting back to the old timer because I liked it way more. There were two other issues that were bothering me, the resolution and the power. The resolution was an easy fix, I just made it so it wouldn't force a native 720p resolution when in full screen. I was playing on a 1440p monitor, and having a window a fourth of that resolution stretched not only looked worse, but it affected my mouse sensitivity since the area is smaller, making more precise inputs harder to do. It works much better now. The power was a little more complicated. I wanted to get it to read as 100%, but have it drain slower. And it didn't take me very long to figure out how to do just that. The power system is actually stored on a separate counter hidden just off screen. The main power that you see in game is really just that number, but divided by 10 to get a cleaner 2-digit number. So I added a little bit more power to the off-screen counter and changed what number the visible power meter was being divided by, and now we have a fixed power system. After some playtesting, I changed how much power was actually available and landed on a reasonable amount. It's about the same as a normal FNAF night, but if it was extended a little past. This was added just so if I need to get up in the middle of the night, I wouldn't instantly be screwing myself over. It's about equivalent to about 110% power in the normal FNAF, so I didn't need to play perfectly for 6 hours, just good enough. When I actually started night 4 a couple days later, I didn't have a lot to say. This whole challenge was really starting to take a toll on me, and I was just focused on getting it done as fast as possible. On July 2nd, it was announced that the real-time 6-hour demo would be released within the next 2 weeks as a reward in the Vortex charity livestream. I remember seeing everyone's initial reaction to the prospect of a 6-hour mode becoming a reality, and being motivated by this knowing that I had already done this 4 times over. But in a really backwards way, I was also incredibly demotivated by the announcement, because it meant that I was once again against the clock in order to get my video finished before anyone else could. I know that's kind of selfish, but I was determined to be the first, at least unofficially, to do it. I think that's what motivated me so much in the first place. But it was this moment where I proceeded to do what is commonly referred to as locking the fuck in. For the final 18 hours of this challenge, I barely talked. I would occasionally make a remark on my situation or if I had a close call. Other than that, I just had Netflix or YouTube open on my second monitor, and I would go to work. I don't remember much from night 5. All I can recall is that I was super tired and watched Nathaniel Bandy for about 90% of it.
Alright, it's night 5, but today's actual date is July 4th. It is 7:49 p.m. I know we kind of ditched the whole starting at 12 a.m. thing, but you know, going to sleep at a reasonable hour is actually a priority now. Not really much to say. Night 5 is kind of just a more intense night 4. Okay. We did it. We did it. Yay! Good job, sport. See you next week. In typical fashion, I completely forgot to record audio for the 6th night, so just pretend I said something witty and then I beat it. Even if I did record audio, my hard drive ran out of space. The video cuts off at 3 a.m. This whole video is just a mess, I'm sorry.
It was finally time for the very intimidating 420. I had actually given it a couple of attempts beforehand while playtesting and balancing power, dying twice within the first hour. The strategy that I used for my version was very similar to the one that everyone else uses. However, I played it a lot more safe. I would check Foxy around every 3 minutes, and when he was close to running, I would shut the left door and ignore him entirely. This worked really well as it allowed me to completely eliminate the need to check Foxy frequently, and I could just focus on the rest of the game. This was done so I wouldn't accidentally let Freddy in, which was a massive fear of mine since it can happen so easily. my god. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh my god. Fuck you. Holy shit. Oh, I finally did it. That only took 4 months. And just like that, at 1 a.m. on July 8th, 2024, I became the very first person to complete FNAF 1 in real time. Unofficially. This was easily the most amount of time and energy I've put into a single video, besides maybe that stupid long Project Readjusted video that I still cannot believe I finished. I do plan on streaming the 6-hour FNAF in real time demo when that releases, but other than that, I can officially say I've survived 5 Nights at Freddy's.